Hello. Hi there, everybody. I am Carla Sanders, the Cosmic Crone, and it is so good to be with you here today. I've been a little bit quiet, of a strange blend of shifting into spring and honoring the cycle, and also recovering from just a little bout of fatigue that was related to I don't even know what. So I am here now, and I am delighted to be talking with you about one of my favorite topics. This is a short presentation about the most powerful phase of a woman's life, and it may come as a surprise to you. But it is truly the phase that I am in and that many of the women that I work with and that I talk with every day are experiencing. And the wild thing about it is it feels like chaos and craziness most of the time. What part am I talking about? I am talking, of course, about the changes of life that happen around menopause. Now, my purpose is to initiate women into their divine feminine power through healing and amplifying sexual energy, their sexuality. And that basically it boils down to the experience of living in a female body, because our sexuality moves through all parts of our lives. Every aspect is touched by this life force energy that rolls through us and that represents our creativity, our libido, our desire for sex, for connection, for relationship, and our capacity to give birth, both to human beings and to other creations like this one on the wall behind me. This is a creation. It is both a vision, a vision really of my life purpose, and a piece of art that I gave birth to a few years ago. So the women I am most drawn to work with, this, by the way, I will take a step back and say that tapping into your divine feminine power through the healing and amplifying and walking with your sexuality can happen. It begins to happen, well, from birth, but certainly from puberty throughout all the phases of life. The group that I am most drawn to work with are the ones who are dealing with this profound change of menopause, the transition between the mothering phase and the crone elder stage. And this is, I believe, the most powerful phase of a woman's life. There is a particular kind of chaos that accompanies the physical and emotional and spiritual shifts of a woman in her 40s and 50s. And it is a complete roller coaster. I can share my experience, and I have heard it reflected with other women over and over again. It started out as the fiery 40s, where my body was, my sexuality was off the charts, climbing the walls, and interestingly enough, in a phase of singlehood and celibacy, because one of the other things that happens with women at this phase of life, we cannot tolerate anyone who cannot meet us in the powerful place where we are. So I was doing a way lot more rejecting than I was accepting in those days, including my own husband, which resulted in a divorce. So this is the fiery 40s. And then it shifted from the fiery 40s into the Well, it's just chaos of, I don't know how I feel anymore. I don't know. I don't trust my body to work. I don't want sex at all. I don't want, orgasm isn't the way it used to be. Just a lot of things about that, about sexuality, shift and change. And this can happen because of health issues. A lot of women in our age group wind up with hysterectomies, which is a really sudden shift. It is a dropping like a rock into menopause. And that can really, the physical changes related to our health and sudden hormone shifts and hormone replacement can wreak havoc on libido. And then add to it, our partners are also going through midlife changes. And there is such a thing as male menopause. We would give it a different name, but changes in testosterone and the way that medications that older men might be taking for blood pressure or heart or depression or any of the things, if they are wise enough to get treated, the conditions themselves can affect sexuality, and then the medicine can affect sexuality for both men and for women. So we are faced with all of these changes. And then there's the other thing, and this is what I really love about working with women in this age group, is the ferocity. Fiery 40s morphs into, I have had enough and I'm not going to take it anymore. I am fed up. This Kali energy that comes through, the dark goddess rises. Oh man. And it can be frightening because we do not learn about these energies. We do not learn about these powers and these entities that come through us. And so we think that there's something very wrong with us. And the people around us are telling us, you've changed, there's something wrong with you. Well, yes, I've changed, but there is not a fucking thing wrong with me. That So these women come to me. I have been through it. I am still going through it at a slightly different phase. And we work on it. When I was in my 40s, I found a teacher, a priestess, to support me in my change. And mine was going all the way back. Well, this is the other thing that happens. Okay, let me get back to my notes so I don't ramble too much. The bottom line is that what we're all facing, and it is so counter to what is going on inside of us, is that modern industrial patriarchal culture starts closing the book on us. When we hit our late 40s, 50s, we hit menopause. And then we learn to close the book on ourselves because those are the models. Our parents, our mothers may have done it. My menopausal model was a generation of women who all had hysterectomies in their 30s. By the time they were 40, my mother and none of my aunts, except for maybe one, still had a uterus. So time came for me to go through menopause. Well, what's supposed to happen, Mom? I don't know. Go to the doctor and get surgery and get some pills. That's what I did. And this was young, well before menopause. They were going through all of this. So, no more periods, no more estrogen, no more woman. And this is especially confusing and chaotic for women of my generation who came of age in the 70s and early 80s, because we are the generation that's going to live forever. Most of the women that I know in my age group, in their 50s and in their 60s, are a full generation younger than our mothers were at the same age. We are fitter. We are more intellectually with it and bright. We are more vital. We are more sexual. We are taking better care of our health. And for many of us, we did not have a surgical menopause when maybe the previous generation did, and menopause came a little later because we're taking so much care of ourselves. So the thing is, menopause comes to all of us if we are privileged to live long enough. And so these changes happen while we are still in this place of, I feel vital and youthful, and I'm not done yet. I'm just getting started. I don't even know what I want to be when I grow up. And it hits us anyway. The call of the crone, that's what menopause is. And it's like, how many times did I say, and do I still hear women say, no crone for me? Well, she comes for us all, and she calls us all to step into her footsteps and become who we are meant to be on this planet. So some of the most urgent pain that women feel is around sexuality, desire, and feelings of attractiveness. And it morphs into, if they are in a relationship, possibly a long marriage, they feel like their marriage is in crisis. They just can't be in the marriage the way they used to be. Their sexuality has changed. They're not interested anymore, and that may or may not be a problem for them. A lot of times they're worried about it, but they have to deal with their partner saying, why aren't you interested anymore? Or, like I wrote about in my newsletter this week, the woman who woke up after 30 years of bad sex. And they're saying, I'm not interested in that kind of sex anymore. That's where I was. When I woke up to fiery 40s, it was like, don't come at me with the same old thing. I know there's more, and I want more, and let's figure out what this more is. And this is, this was the 90s, before the internet. I had no resources. I had no idea to find out. And most of what I looked at did not match what was going on. It kind of exacerbated the problem. So they're coming with a crisis in the marriage, a crisis in their life, a crisis in their sexuality, and dealing with, the majority do not want sex to be over, but they're dealing with pain and loss of libido and this frustration. And then this other level that is going on that they don't quite know what to do with. And that's that feeling of not fitting into their own skin. And it can be a literal physical sensation of prickliness or of crawling. And it's actually, when that shows up, that's what I experienced. I didn't have hot flashes, but I had this skin crawl sensation. And I've heard other professionals, medical experts talk about. It is a thing that you may not have heard about because hot flashes get all the press. And it's really the same thing. It is our souls expanding and our bodies are responding, trying to figure it out. And I know this from my work with elders and indigenous wisdom, that this is something that our ancestors knew how to deal with. If a woman lived long enough to experience this, she was prepared and initiated into this change. So menopause, this powerful time, is a time of spiritual and energetic expansion for a woman. So besides treating the discomfort, make it stop, hormone replacement, pathologizing it, taking out the uterus, giving us pills, whether it's antidepressants or in the old days it might have been electric shock or lobotomy, lose weight, get therapy. Well, there's nothing wrong with any of that, and it may well be helpful or necessary. But a lot of times it amounts to give your partner Viagra so that you will feel sexy again, like he is the source of your turn on and your pleasure. What? I don't even want anybody to touch me. The last thing he needs is Viagra. Oh, but they're working on a female Viagra, aren't they? Oh, they're trying so hard to figure out what will turn a woman back on when she's lost her mojo. Wait. Sex after menopause is really important, but it's entirely different from what the culture has led women to believe. So typically we have two options. One is give up on sex or do whatever it takes to restore your youthful sexuality, and both of them miss the boat. There are three main things that a woman going through the change must address. And I use that word, the change, very intentionally. Embrace the change. Oh gosh, we hate change. Our minds fear change more than we fear anything else. So here is where your beautiful animal body will help you embrace the change, because the change is inevitable and relentless. Learn how to work with the synergy. So the three things you must address, the main broad themes: heal old wounds around sexuality and femaleness. Because you have spent this time of your life for 40, 50, 60 years with a model of femaleness that says you are not good enough, you are unworthy. There's something fundamentally flawed with being female. And this is even worse for women of my generation, but it still comes through. And there are pockets, especially in religious, certain fundamentalist religious groups, schools, the government. Everybody says you are not smart enough to know how to be with your own body, your own sexuality, your own reproductive power. Somebody needs to make rules about that and hold you to them, because you cannot be trusted with this own power that is in your body. And add that to commodification of your fertility, your sexuality. Add that to abuse and sex crimes and rape and trafficking. Add that to anybody has the right to do or say anything to you anytime, and you are not necessarily given the skills to cut them off or to let them know that you do have that power to cut them off. You own yourself. So this is vital healing, and it has its role throughout our lifespan. But by the time that we are in midlife and in menopause, we have reached that point of, I am fed up and I am not going to take it anymore. And this can be about everything from a lifetime of putting up with shit because you're female, or it can be, and it's not an or, it's an and. It's a lifetime of being in servitude, of taking care of other people and putting your own physical, mental, emotional, and even spiritual needs last. Somehow, your whole being, your whole purpose, your whole spirituality gets folded in to this taking care of other people. And there is an element of that that is a part of our makeup. but it has been perverted and commodified and abused in modern industrial culture, where one individual woman is often almost always given all of the roles of caretaking that used to be done by an entire village. And I will be talking more about this. Let's go on to the second thing. Heal all wounds around sexuality and femaleness. Honor and identify this urge to expansion and visionary wisdom that is your birthright as a woman of ripe and wise years. We are here as elder women to birth wisdom. The culture needs it. Our children and grandchildren need it. Our institutions need it. The earth needs it. And we feel that call to it. And it's kind of interesting that we feel this call to expansion at a moment when the demands on us are increasing in this modern world, and at a moment when we may be feeling energetic shifts around aging, like I can't do without sleep the way I used to when I was younger. I can't eat the same way I used to when I was younger. My body doesn't move as many rocks or things out in the garden as it used to when I was younger. And yet I feel this call of potent, powerful mission and expansion. So we find the balance. We identify what is that thing that is trying to be born through you as a crone, as a woman in midlife, and how do you do it? How do you physically support yourself, have the resources? This is a big thing. It's a real thing, and it's a big thing. So it's one of the things that women in menopause are necessarily addressing. And then the other one, and this is the one that we focus on the most in Sex After Menopause, although we roll the other two into it, and that is recalibrating your sexual energy and how to express it with your changing body. And one reason this is so important is this sexual energy is a resource to use for the other two. It is food for us. Pleasure is a vital nutrient. And a lot of what we women are frustrated about in menopause is that we sort of feel like life might be slipping away. We get an inkling of our own mortality, and maybe we've been our whole life without having the kind of relationship, the kind of sexual experience, the sexual expression that we've always longed for. We've been putting up with less than we want. And so as we get to menopause, that becomes incredibly frustrating and infuriating. And it's one of the many, many, many things that we're not going to take anymore. And so the beauty of this is that our bodies are changing. It may never be the way it used to be. But one thing that it can be, it will be, is amazing, wonderful, and if you choose, better. So another thing that I came to yesterday was, oh my gosh, this is all about more and better. It blows my mind. Mind-blowing sex is really about more and better in ways that are completely unexpected and that are surprising. And it takes a while to realize, oh, it's not like that anymore. It's like this. Oh, well, this is good. So this is a lot of what we do in Sex After Menopause. So this is the work that women go through menopause are at last in your lifetime ready to do, and it is work that you must do. And there is so much joy and power and pleasure available to you as a wise orgasmic woman through sex after menopause. So we start next week, and we are enrolling right now. I'm going to be back over the next 3 days to talk even more about each of these 3 topics and to tell you more about how we address them in sex after menopause. So I hope you will join me. I will be coming in at different times of day because I have different things going on, but chances are afternoon's a good bet. And the recording will be here. So, and I'll also put these on my YouTube channel. Oh my gosh. I'm going to put a link in the comments. And if you have questions, you can ping me in the comments right here. You can send me a message privately, and I will do my best to find it because I have trouble figuring out where Facebook has hidden the messages, but I think I get them in notifications. So you could say, I have questions, or tell me more. This sounds like something I'm interested in. But definitely look up that link. The link is all over my page because we are in it. I want as many people as possible to hear about this because you don't have to suffer alone. You can be with yourself in an amazing and potent way and be with your loved ones and your partners in a new way. So I'm going to close it off here right now. I will be back tomorrow with more about healing the old wounds of sexuality. Thank you so much for joining me today.